The last two-stroke snowblower, right? What are you talking about, Arj? Well, fellas, I've got this kind of nice Toro snow thrower flapper. You know, the kind that just spins the wheel and it's got a flapper on it and it shoots snow either to the left or the right or in front of itself. Two-stroke. Right, nowadays, they make them in either four-stroke or electric. These are smaller machines, somewhere around 20 inches, 17 inches. You know, they come in a few different sizes. And this one is two-stroke. So it's powered by an older Tecumseh two-stroke. You know, what do you do with something like that? In this video, I'm going to kind of go over some tips and tricks on what to look out for and why you may want to fix it or you may not want to fix it. And let it be the last. Maybe it's the last one you'll see. Maybe it's the last one you have. For me, it is certainly the last one I will be working on. Unless a customer comes to me, and this I want to say up front, comes to me with basically a working machine. Like it's been running and, you know, I don't know any customers like that. But if somebody came to me and could demonstrate that they've taken care of the machine and it's basically running, and maybe the belt got thrown, or maybe something very simple. Maybe we just need to clean the carburetor and replace the diaphragm that's in there. A lot of them have diaphragms in them, like the, you know, regular, like a lot of two-strokes. They're just bigger carburetors. Other than that, fellas, this one I thought was pretty nice. And as I started to get into it, it reared its ugly head. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit about what you can look out for, what happened to me, and in the course of what happened to me, why I say the last one, why you shouldn't even bother with it anymore. I'm certainly not. The world is moving forward, whether we like it or not. And if you have one, please take care of it, right? I say that about all the machines because I'm a big fan of restoring and rejuvenating and refurbishing and trying to bring any old machine I can get my hands on that I think could be worthy. It either becomes parts for another machine or it comes back, right? I try to bring it back for the customer, for myself, or whatever, for somebody that wants to buy it. So let's get into the video, and I'll show you why I say these things and what you can look out for, and maybe I can even inspire you to take a peek in it. You know, don't spend any more than maybe an hour on one, and don't spend, if you happen to see one, don't spend any more than maybe $20 on one, right? I know that sounds like a very low number, but I'm giving you just as a hint, as a guess, right? It's good to learn. It's good to see for yourself. I always recommend that. If you want to, you know, education costs money. No matter how you get it, whether you go out there yourself and do something and involve yourself in something that you maybe have never done before. Don't listen to Arch, right? Go out and get one. Don't listen to me. Go out and get one and educate yourself. And then go out and get maybe a four-stroker, right? And take a look at that. And do maybe a couple of them. And if you don't spend a lot of time and a lot of money on this, you're going to see what I'm talking about, because there's no, I think there's no replacement or substitute for personally doing something and then coming to the conclusions yourself. So let's get into the video, and at the end, we'll talk a little bit more about it. But for now, let's get started. I'll see you guys in a minute. A little wet, right? Before we put it back, let's put some of the tranny sloppy sauce in and pull it over. And then we'll put two smoke in. So let's pull it over first. I'm not even going to check the spark, because if there's any water in it, or, you know, this will help loosen things up, and if there's any issues, it feels okay, right? Okay. Feels okay. I'm going to blow it out a little, because they get sticky. Fellas, remember, it's two smoke. So that tranny fluid has got detergents in it. Two smoke now. Let's load it up with some two smoke fuel. I put a lot in. It might flood out a little. And just thread this in by hand. I gotta open the door because she's gonna smoke. Oh, wait till you see what holds this head together. I gotta show you guys that in a bit. When we get the back off, I'll show you. Cheesy though. All right, let's give it a pull. I'm ready to run, right? Nothing. Uh-oh. Okay, should have started. We'll have to check for spark. That could be a problem. There's no electric start on this. No, I got spark. I got a lot of it. Let's put a bit of two-stroke, if I can get it down into the hole here. Right, in a little cup. And let's get a little starting fluid. I think that's almost done. There we go. That should fire. Let's see. Come on, you. Now. Oh, wait. Ah! That's scary. These things are so angry. Did you guys see that? I want to go watch that. All right. Let's get the rest of it off and get, because there's probably junk. It gets, the stuff, fellas, that gets on a two-stroke. You got your combustion chamber. Hold on, that stinks. Let me open the door. And then the crankcase has got to be sealed properly because the oil, the air and fuel mixture with the oil and everything comes in and lubricates the inside of the crankcase. If there's any bad gaskets or seals in here, it'll leak air and it will never run. It may run, but it may not run right. Also, the junk gets in there. Excess fuel and oil that dries out and it becomes very oily, pukes the charge. And the water will go in there. And it just makes a mess. And, and sometimes the only way to get it out is you gotta take the motor apart. That's the one bad side of these things. Also, it winds up in the muffler. And where do you see this muffler? All right, I'll get you a close-up on that too. It's crazy. It's actually part of this whole thing back here. Right? This all in here. All right, so the primer tube is off. A while back I pulled off the electric, which is a mess, right? We got to clean that. But to get this choke cable, this choke rod off, you have to bend it. I need two hands. You bend it a little bit and pull up. And then when you go to put in, it's very thin. You're going to have to rebend it and then make an adjustment. Don't do it any other way. You'll probably break this thing and everything. So I need two hands for that, all right, to get it up through that Z-bend. So I'll do that and we'll pull it off. You'll see. And I got my vice grip over here. We had to cut that off on the end, right? Get rid of that because it floods up through here. It's just what you got to do. I say, don't forget, you got to take off all of the screws around the outside and the underneath, right? You got to do that. Otherwise, it's not going to come apart. And then once you get it to a certain point, like there's all these flaps and you have to finagle with it. It's plastic. It's going to fight you a little. And try not to breaky it, achy breaky it, right? Finesse it or however you can. It's just a pain in the neck. Come here, you! Right? It doesn't want to. It'll be mad and it'll try to fight you. And see, this is big overgrown two smoke. It's got a diaphragm here, so we'll disconnect the hose. You got to watch your spring there. Let me turn the light on here. Let me turn a little light on. Maybe it'll help. Watch that spring. Don't lose the spring. There's a little bracket there. It's all going to come kaboing when you go to pull the carburetor off. Okay, so it's pretty much off, but see this other rod here? That's your governor rod. Don't lose it. Okay, you can lose that and then you have to take all this off, which means you have to almost unbolt the motor to do it. So I just put a little clamp on that just to keep it, right? We know where it is, and then I'll be able to work this off. I need two hands. I want to be careful. And then we'll have the carburetor. I just wanted to show you guys, look at the head, right? These screws, right? And this is the muffler. And it comes down, and this is actually welded as part of the frame. So we gotta, where is it come out? I don't know, we gotta look at it closer later, but if it's jammed up, that's not good, but it may not be. See, and there's a slip tube here. Last night, before I left, I took the tank off because there were spiders and spider nests in there, and I super cleaned it out. I had to rinse it, and then I flush it with a little bit of gasoline, blow it with the air, and then I like to try to do that before I call it for the evening because now it can sit out and dry. Even though I pretty much got, all the water out, still, I just like that. And I replaced the fuel line because the fuel line was just getting hard, and, when you go to pull the ends off, they fray, and they're not clamped on good.
Just that's solved. We put some fuel in it, and we're going to bring it outside and give her a run, okay? Because she's going to smoke. So let's set up outside. I'll see you guys in a few. All right, fellas, let's just start it the old-fashioned way, right? Turn the key on. I think this is full choke. A bunch of primies. And let's just see without any additional help. Oh, something's happening. Nope, not yet. Let's get more primies. Is it choked well enough? I don't know.
20 minutes later.
Okay, remember this thing's never, hasn't really run in a long time, so I told you it's going to be sticky inside the engine. So there's a whole bunch of fuel. I don't know if the choke is on or not. I don't know. But I'm not sure what this says. Okay, so we're getting fuel, right? Feels like its primer is a little stuck. Oh, now I hear it. There we go. There we go. Might have been a little stuck. Almost. She's gonna need to run.
More moments later. Eventually.
No, she's not starting good. That's not good.
A few moments later.
Yeah, I don't know. If that's what she's gonna do, it's getting stuck, so it's too hot. Now, they're not very good machines. Well, it might be the end of its life. The carburetor's not terrible. All right, I'll try again in a few minutes.
Just then.
Yeah, let's put a little bit of this in. It's probably no good.
More moments later.
Now it feels like it doesn't have as much compression. I think it might have fouled the plug. You pop another plug in it.
One eternity later.
No. You guys see it? I can't tell. She's a little wet.
By sheer coincidence.
Yeah, she's seizing up, fellas. You hear it? Something's not right. Notice that the RPM was lower?
Many tic-tacs later.
Let's just see again. Yeah, she don't feel well. Yeah, I call that fail.
I am Cornholio.
All right, fellas, I grabbed a couple of the parts that I wanted, and this carburetor, I'm probably going to take out the diaphragm out of it and put it back in a bag, just because I don't want it to go bad. This carburetor is also used on some four-strokes. The smaller Takumis like this that you find that's like 3.5 or so horsepower, you'll see them on Edgers and things like that. The older ones, the Craftsmans, And most of the time, I just sold a few this past season. I never did release the videos. I did a whole bunch of them. It was a real pain in the neck. Well, let me go to rag. Just a pain in the neck. I just never got through the video sequence of it. Eventually, they'll come out. So, and I wound up one for myself until Mikey gave me the one that I really like that we need to fix. And many of you guys have probably seen that on some teasers. So I got the belt. I got a few other things to switch. It's not worth going any further in it. I would say for this machine, if it had electric start on it and it worked, it would be worth a little bit more. People like electric start. Problem is, electric start sits right here, and all the water and, well, if there's salt, right, it sits on it. Most of the ones I've ever seen, save maybe one or two, those motors are just seized up. Electric motors, the Bendix seizes up. These are older, right? And we're trying to get rid of the two-stroke stuff, right? They just don't want it anymore. They don't want to be using two-stroke. It's on its way out. A lot of it already has been replaced either with four-stroke conversion type motors. They're just a little bit different that fit in these sort of things. And then electric. I have a friend of mine, she's got one about this size, and it's electric. And it's better for her, okay, just overall. So for machines at this size, I don't recommend playing around with these things. Avoid it. I started to get away from a lot of two-stroke stuff. I do occasionally do it, especially for myself. I've got a bunch of machines, hanging up over there, weed whackers and whatever. And this season, I'm going to go through them and get rid of what's left. Okay, and whatever fires up right away, great. If it doesn't pass, now I did a compression test, fellas, and this is important. I got about 75 pounds ish. I didn't test it before we got started, but I can tell you that when it comes to two-strokers, I like to see about 100 pounds. Oh, look, it's snowing a little bit. Yeah. All right. I hope it just keeps going. So you want about 100, 125 pounds, especially trying to suck on one of these diaphragm carburetors, because pressure on one side equals suction on the other. And for these two-strokers, they need to suck not just through the carburetor, but as I mentioned earlier, if there's anything wrong with any of these seals, the seals on the crankshaft, it will leak and you'll lose vacuum and it won't start. And if it runs, it won't run right if you can get it started. And notice right away, right, we saw two things. We saw that it ran okay while it was running. It was hard to start initially. Okay, it hasn't run in a while. We got it started. We got it running. I tried to adjust the carburetor. I didn't see much of a change. I did get a little bit of a change. I adjusted it to lean best. But then when we shut it off and we went to restart it, it was almost impossible to start. When we did get it started, you could see a significant reduction in RPM, and it all kind of fits in. And you can't get it started, right? This is what I mean. So, all right. Thanks for watching, fellas. I would say this one is a fail, and I don't recommend, like I said, doing one of these. Stay away from it. Look, if you find one that's really nice like this one was not in bad shape, you can give it a shot, but don't spend too much time on it. And also, lastly, fellas, is the fuel. I think many of us know the issues with the fuel in general, with the alcohol in it, and then you have two-stroke additive. And if somebody didn't use a good additive, fuel, oil combination, they didn't get it right. And there was definitely evidence of oil in the motor. So it wasn't seized, because you wouldn't see probably any oil in the motor. But you don't really know. And we don't know how much dirt it ingested. Remember, there's no air filter. Now, generally speaking, right, the air is pretty clean in the wintertime and there's no dust. But again, there's a lot of factors that the unknowns, and it's all to come, right? So 2009, I think, was the last time they made anything. And even then, that was the end of days for them. And they were just probably trying to get rid of whatever they had. I'll see you guys on the next one. All right. I think it was success in terms of value. I'll see you later.